good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and I bring all of you good tidings and a very, very good evening for another Rage video where tonight, ladies and gentlemen, third song in to Ride the Lightning. And it is also one of the most, it's probably one of the most well-known songs they've ever done. But as I'm going through this album on my second try after 4 years, it's really, I have yet to really have any major negatives to say so far. Fight Fire with Fire is awesome, I will admit it. It's absolutely awesome. Ride the Lightning, I think, is absolutely in like the top 5, without a shadow of a doubt. And for Whom the Bell Tolls is definitely good, but is it quite as good as I remember? Because I remember having a lot of really nice things to say about it the first time. Chief among which is that this is also based on the Ernest Hemingway novel of the same name, following the demise and the disaster that was the Spanish Civil War. Interestingly enough, it was released. I'm not sure if it was released, but I know it was. George Orwell was also in Spain fighting for the POUM militia at pretty much the exact same time. So maybe they met each other, or maybe Hemingway was in Valencia or perhaps a different part of Spain at that time, because Orwell famously was at the northeastern end of Catalonia, and he was mostly there in Barcelona, Barbastro, and if you want to check out more, I would absolutely check out In fact, you know what, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll swing the deal, and as you can see right here, I've already got my Ride the Light. I think I'm just gonna start wearing this again. You know, when I'm starting doing my videos, it feels kind of right. You know what I mean? Let me just get it up right now. There we go. I've just bought the audiobook for Whom the Bell Tolls. 19 quid's quite dear, but then again, it's the unabridged version, and it's also read by Campbell Scott. So there's going to be plenty to look forward to when the time comes. But if there's, I just kind of want to get started. You know what I mean? So if you guys want to check out the original video for yourselves, links will all be in the description down below. Let's begin. For Whom the Bell Tolls. In 3, 2, 1, and... you know what? The opening is like so iconic as well. I want to do it again, but slightly. I can tell almost immediately this was not loud enough. In fact, that's something that is also becoming very, very apparent as we're going through this. Every song starts brilliantly. I don't know if you want to call it like the riff or just the tone. The tone they set from the off tells you almost everything you need to really know. I mean, Fight Fire with Fire is literally. It feels like listening to the beginning of. Not Grave with the Fireflies, but what's the other one? Where the Wind Blows. Ride the Lightning is chaotic. It's all over the place. It's eccentric, and it is striking. For Whom the Bell Tolls is, interesting enough, I do happen to know that this was an anvil that somebody was striking to create the effect. So that's kind of cheating, I suppose. I mean, it's bell and they're striking an anvil, but the atmosphere ripples with every strike. You know what I mean? it's like something out of Jaws. This I'm not. I'm taking this back. I don't give a fuck. This it's just it's again. This is why people come back to this. This song oozes character, personality, and drama. There's a lot of drama to this album, and it comes in all shades. You know what I mean? From death, imposing death, the knowledge of death is incoming. You know what I mean? Yes, but who's to say? For a hill men would kill, why they do not know. Time marches on. It's the last time you will. And there we go, ladies and gentlemen, For Whom the Bell Tolls by Metallica. And it almost seems a little bit arbitrary at this point to have things to say about this song, because to be honest, there's a lot to be said about this. But let me just say this right now. If like 9/10 of this song, the lyrics were just pulled straight from For Who the Bell Tolls, I don't think I wouldn't mind too much, because, and again, I can only speak in terms of what I know of the Spanish Civil War from reading Orwell's books on the Civil War. Is that Hemingway, if for no other reason, seems to write in a very poetic style. Maybe because maybe Hemingway was there during the Barcelona street fighting during early May in 1937. Again, I don't know that for certain, because I'm only going off from what I know of the people who wrote about the Civil War. But and again, you go through some of this stuff and you realize you're finding out exactly what you've never seen before, especially Crack of Dawn, all is gone except the will to be. Now they see what will be, blinded eyes to see. These frigging guys, they rhymed 1, 2, 3, 4. They literally just rhymed B, C, B, and C all together in the span of in one sentence. In one sentence, in one verse. I think it sounds quite easy to do, but when you put that string together, it's what else can you say about it? Blinded eyes to see. Now, do you think when they say blinded eyes to see, do you think that means that they can't see anything else except what they've seen, or blinded means that literally that their vision is cut off, they can't see anymore? Do you think that's a metaphor for them being dead? Because, well, Crack of Dawn, all is gone. So, is this the will to carry on? Because there have been quite a number of songs that Metallica has done, sometimes war-based, to say the least, where suicide has come up once or twice. Anyone remembers the ending of Disposable Heroes? You hear, alone I press my gun. We don't know if he shot himself or he went into battle knowing, screw it, something like that. Because like immediately after that, they go to Soldier Boy, Made of Clay, Now an Empty Shell, 21, Only Son, But He Served Us Well. In fact, actually, speaking of ages, these guys were only 20 years old when this came out. These guys, I mean, I always kind of knew, especially, well, maybe on the perhaps, in fact, whose idea was it to do songs about this? I mean, not just about the Spanish Civil War for a second, but who thought it was a good idea to do a song about the electric chair or about a nuclear arms race? Because even by 1984 standards, these sort of things had been covered quite a number of times by a lot of metal groups, British, American, all over the world and stuff like that. I'm not knocking them for 1 second, but it's the fact that they sound as good as they do. And I always go back to this, and you may have heard me say this before. I always do sometimes wonder where these guys get these ideas from. And For Whom the Bell Tolls is, again, a brilliant example, because it's something that I know a lot of bands do a lot, is that they take a lot of creative liberties and a lot of potential from novels. But how do you... And that's one thing, and I always love lines like shouting gun, on they run through the endless grey, on they fight for the right, yes, but who's to say? I love the addition of yes, but who's to say? For a hill men would kill, why, they do not know. Stiffened wounds test their pride. And again, you've probably heard me say this about Disposable Heroes like many, many times. What exactly do you think is going through the minds of men in the... Well, actually, I have a pretty interesting way about this. And again, I'll go into Homage to Catalonia just for 1 second. Is that during the Spanish Civil War, especially if you were fighting for... you were either fighting for Franco or you were fighting for... for democracy or whatever it might be. And especially, again, from his experience of being in the 29th Division, known as the POUM, is that there was supplies were so extraordinarily limited that no uniform for any given private, whether he was 12 or 27 years old, none of them looked the same. They were not even fit, even remotely, to be used in combat whatsoever. And especially in the trenches when Orwell was in Saragossa, you would hear in the third chapter him going into details about the important things in trench warfare, and the enemy is often a bad last. And again, maybe this is just because this song is like take into account that these guys were off to capture some major hill captured by the fascists or something like that. But I think it says something about how desperate this sort of attack was, because there is a chapter in Homage to Catalonia where Orwell and a bunch of other guys, they try and capture enemy territory that had just been freshly laid down with barbed wire. And there's a great part where Orwell almost sounds like he's getting caught up in the excitement of it all, where he feels like, this is what war really is. And then it sort of almost cuts to him watching the view of an IOP bomb, which is like a new fashioned grenade that the Spanish artilleries were coming out with for the Allies. And there's this shot of just like 4 or 5 fascists half going up like 3 feet in the air in all directions. And it's sort of like, again, it strikes home to Orwell that this is what happens. This is like, Orwell develops quite an interesting sort of empathy for the enemies, because for the most part, Orwell describes it in such a way that the enemies were starving and probably even worse tread off than the Allies themselves. And part of what makes a lot of this very, very interesting is that even though For Whom the Bell Tolls is just describing this attack itself, how can you even describe how it even begins or even how it ends? Because casualties were, for the most part, in Homage to Catalonia, were largely self-inflicted, strangely enough. And I think that I wonder if that's almost categorized by the fact that the bell chimes a little bit irregularly. Like, you would imagine if it was meant to be a significant factor in terms of like a person dying, it would chime several times a second. But it's there's a good rhythm to it, Dong, dong. You know what I mean? And maybe again, maybe I'm looking at it a bit too much in that respect. However, and I think I'll just end it off by saying this: the music is put on every transition, every riff that it starts, then it transitions, and then it cuts to again. It is Metallica. But it's kind of a little bit somber as well. It's not nearly as sad as for the next song, but this one seems to set a different type of tone compared to Fight Fire with Fire, which was almost largely about the chaos of a nuclear arms race and about the physical manifestation of being electrocuted to death. This one feels a lot more like it springs to home. I don't know whether or not the boys in Metallica, they had parents or grandparents who fought in Vietnam or the Second World War. But again, you notice a lot of this sort of stuff when people write, especially metal bands, I'm finding out, is whenever they do write stuff about war, for the most part, they've got their finger like very clearly on the trigger. They've got like a very, very concentrated job they have to do, because they have to they can't really like exaggerate on many things, because to be honest, it doesn't seem as exaggerated. And again, if you look to what's going on right now, especially in Ukraine, where they're now illustrating martial law on those 4 annexed lands of Ukraine that Putin has claimed for its own. That's why I'm still glad. Yeah, I don't know if you could see it, but I actually have a poppy on the very corner of my monitor, and I've had it there for about 4 years now. And I think maybe tomorrow, actually, yeah, tomorrow, I'll start wearing it when I start going to work again. I just need to find like a pin, basically, to just put it in place. I think that'll be a good idea. So anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this reaction video. Please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section down below. Let me know what you guys thought of For Whom the Bell Tolls for Yourselves by Metallica. And I cannot wait to talk with you guys again in the next video. Take care, and bye-bye for now.